Hello, I'm Deborah Malone, founder of the Internationalist. And in honor of International Women's Day and as part of the Internationalist's Marketing Makes a World of Difference initiative, we're sharing case studies from around the world to highlight how brands have made a difference in a range of issues affecting women. The impetus for International Women's Day can be traced back to New York City in 1908, when thousands of women garment workers protested throughout the city and went on strike due to their working conditions. Now, it's celebrated in many countries of the world. It was designated an official holiday by the UN in 1977, and it's a day when women are recognized for their achievements. So let's begin with our first case study from India, from Procter & Gamble's Ariel laundry detergent. Although more men are certainly sharing the load than ever before, Ariel's globally renowned Share the Load campaign is now in its fourth season. This is the earliest execution.
ना ये देखो शील्ड लेग हेलमेट
होमवर्क हो गया।
मम्मी ये देखो
फिर दाग लगा दिया। पापा ये लीजिए आपके घर जाने की टिकट। हेलो या आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू सेंड यू द ईमेल इन 5 मिनट्स। या गिव मी 5 मिनट्स, आई एम वर्किंग ऑन द प्रेजेंट।
मेरी छोटी सी गुड़िया कितनी बड़ी हो गई। घर घर खेलती थी, अब घर संभालती है, ऑफिस संभालती है। आई एम सो प्राउड एंड आई एम सो सॉरी। सॉरी कि ये सब तुम्हें अकेले करना पड़ता है। सॉरी कि जब तुम घर घर खेलती थी तो मैंने तुम्हें रोका नहीं। ये नहीं कहा कि ये सिर्फ तुम्हारा काम नहीं है, तुम्हारे हस्बैंड का भी है। पर कहता भी कैसे है।
और मेरी ग्रीन शर्ट धो देना।
मैंने भी तो कभी तुम्हारी मम्मी की हेल्प नहीं की, और तुमने जो देखा वही सीखा। तुम्हारे हस्बैंड ने भी बचपन में यही देखा होगा। घर घर खेलते वक्त वो टीवी देखने की या न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ने की एक्टिंग करता होगा, और तुम जैसी कोई छोटी सी लड़की चाय बनाने की एक्टिंग करती होगी। उसके डैड की तरफ से सॉरी, तुम्हारे डैड की तरफ से सॉरी, और हर उस डैड की तरफ से सॉरी जिसने कई कई सालों से एक गलत एग्जाम्पल सेट किया। पर अभी भी देर नहीं हुई। इस सॉरी के साथ मैं अपनी तरफ से एक छोटी सी कोशिश करूंगा कि घर के काम में मम्मी की हेल्प करूं। किचन का किंग ना बन पाऊं तो कम से कम लॉन्ड्री में तो हाथ बटाऊं। इतने साल एक गलत एग्जाम्पल सेट किया है, अब कुछ सही कर जाऊं। तुम्हारा पापा।
When this Ariel campaign began in 2015, 2 out of every 3 women in India felt that there was inequality between men and women at home. And 76% of men believed that laundry was a woman's job. As a result of Ariel's initial Share the Load campaign, over 1.5 million Indian men pledged to share the load, paving the way for many millions more toward a world where laundry duty wasn't dependent on gender. Next, we go to the US for an effort by Microsoft called Make What's Next. Let's watch.
I'm really passionate about climate change. I'm worried that there won't be enough fresh water for everybody.
I want to make sure that we're able to have a self-sustaining environment.
My interest is to find a cure for breast cancer because my mom had it. Whoa!
Oh. Whoa. The cracks are probably where the water is.
Seeing stuff like this,
I think I want to be able to help do that.
it makes me feel like unstoppable. Like,
That makes no sense to me. Like, why would that be?
There's always going to be someone that says, like, no, you can't do it. I think I can.
We're as amazing as men. Like, we can do as much stuff as they can.
I want my name to be there and be like, Marley is the one who helped stop this climate change issue.
I will discover a cure for breast cancer.
We need all hands on deck right now.
By the way, only 7% of US patents are held by women, which means it would take 140 years at the current rate to reach gender parity. So in addition to the Make What's Next campaign, Microsoft also launched a patent program through online video. And the Make What's Next program has ignited a new curiosity about women inventors and girls' interest in STEM. So now we move from science, technology, engineering, and math to dessert and Argentina's Evita Equality Bill. DDL and Company is a chain of dessert stores which caters to Argentina's passion for dulce de leche, hence the chain's name of DDL. Dulce de leche is a confection that's made by slowly heating sweetened milk, and 81% of women there eat dulce de leche daily. As you can see, Argentina has two different 100 peso bills, one portraying a man, Julio Roca, and the other portraying a woman, Evita Perón, who is remembered for fighting against inequality. As Women's Day was approaching, DDL and Company decided to raise awareness about the gender pay gap by making the bill with a woman's face on it worth 27% more than the one with a man's face on it, meaning that Roca's bills were worth 100 pesos, while Evita's bills were worth 127. Not only did March become DDL's most successful month yet, but 86% of consumers paid with bills that portrayed a woman. This next campaign comes from the UK, from Women's Aid, and their efforts to end domestic violence through Project Blind Eye. The ad underscores just how easy it is to turn a blind eye to domestic abuse. However, the campaign also shows how marketing can make a world of difference. Through facial recognition technology and interactive screens in key public places, we see how beaten and bruised women can heal when they are not ignored and when one refuses to literally turn a blind eye. Let's watch.
With this advert, when people notice this woman, they notice her injuries, those injuries start to disappear. So it's an incredibly powerful way to show everybody that together, if we are prepared to see and hear about domestic violence and not let it be a taboo, we can end it together.
So we hooked up with Women's Aid, who we've done a lot of work with before, to come up with a really simple idea. So if you walk past one of these posters, look at it, actually pay attention to it. And how can we sort of just really drive that on an emotional level? Very simple. You walk past, it recognises you, it takes no data from you, but it just adds you to a progress chart. And the more people who look at it, then it changes the lady's expression, and the bruises disappear, and she says thank you at the end. So it's very, very simple. Underneath it, it's actually quite complicated, but the technology is invisible, and that's how we wanted it to be.
Domestic violence is still a real taboo in our society. When women come forward, they're not listened to, they're not believed, they're not heard. When you're a victim of a crime, you expect to be heard, you expect to be believed by your friends, by your colleagues, and most of all by professionals who are supposed to do something about it. I think people are quite shocked when they see the image of the woman, but then domestic violence is shocking. We must remember that 2 women a week on average are killed in England and Wales by a partner or former partner. It is a really shocking issue. So I think initially people are shocked, but I think the end message is really positive, that we can end domestic violence, that we mustn't let it be a taboo. We must face up to this fact in our society. So I think that's a really strong and powerful message that comes through really clearly in the advert.
From my personal experience, I've stood underneath this thing looking at people's faces, and everybody's looking up at it. So it's really, the image is really powerful anyway. but when they see themselves actually interacting with it, you can just see they're making that connection between they're looking at it and they're making it happen. So I think that's where the technology is going and the industry is going, is how can you make things relevant and personal? And you think, I'm actually making a difference rather than just somebody walking past an ad.
So we hope that this ad will touch thousands of people and make them aware of what's happening. It'll make them more sensitive to people that they might know who might be victims of domestic violence or indeed might be perpetrators.
Now I'd like to briefly introduce a guest, Jun Sugiyama, who has been the director of Vodafone America's Foundation for 20 years. She's seen an extraordinary evolution of projects during that time, as well as changes in consumer and corporate attitudes toward ventures that advance the use of technology for social good. Today, the Vodafone America's Foundation focuses entirely on empowering women and girls through technology. Here are some excerpts from our discussion. Now, if you don't mind, let's talk specifically about your foundation, the Vodafone America's Foundation, because I believe it focuses entirely on empowering women and girls through technology. Now, why was that chosen? What, did you have something to do with that, or?
Right. Well, thank you. I hope so. So yes, I'm in charge out of the 26 foundations. I'm in charge of the one here in the United States. And we've always been at the forefront for technology for good or technology for social impact. I think it's about 12 years ago that we started a challenge to find the best technological solutions to make the world a better place. And we were really good at it. We just found incredible people, out of the box thinkers that were, that were changed. They were all changing the world, doing just fantastic things. So we decided to kind of refine that and focus a little bit on where the gaps are. And firstly, as you know, in the tech sector, we have a huge gap when it comes to women. There are not that many women in the tech sector, even less in leadership. And then as far as girls are concerned, they may dabble a little bit in the sciences, but certainly they don't stay in STEM. And then young women, they may enter ICT, so the computer and technology studies, but they don't stay in that. And so we felt that there was some work to be done. And secondly, 15, our CEO at that time, Victoria Kalau, had a partnership, created a partnership with UN He for She, and made a public commitment to help increase the number of women in technology. And then secondly, to help increase the number of female leadership within our own company, and to use our technology to educate girls. And so we felt that, it's time to really back our CEO up. And not only that, it's really time for us to step up. So that's why we changed our focus. We continue to do what we do best, which is to focus on technology. But we really drilled down and focus on using our technology for women and girls. And so that's why we transitioned over to supporting women and girls.
And if I understand it, and this may be wonderfully relevant, particularly as International Women's Day approaches in March, but you're helping women and girls all over the world. I believe that you've partnered with MIT Solve. Could you talk about some of the specific projects that you have going?
Sure. So as I mentioned, 12 years ago, we ran our own challenge. We're through the 30 entrepreneurs that we found and partnered with, they're impacting over 63 million lives. I mean, that's way more than we thought that we would be able to do and to start impacting. But as you can imagine, it's quite time intensive, quite, fund intensive. So serendipitously, we found that some of our winners for our challenge were also winners or solvers, they call for MIT Solve, which is a similar challenge. But as you can imagine, MIT is a world-renowned organization and institution. And as you can also imagine, they have a worldwide global network. And I hear they really have lots of smart people when it comes to technology. So, it was really literally a no-brainer for us to partner with them. So we more or less transitioned our competition to MIT Solve, and we partner with them. They run other competitions for other corporations at the same time as well. But we run a Technology for Women prize, whether it be education, health, or social justice, social service. We've found incredible solutions, whether it be for prenatal care, training women to start childcare, giving educational credits for women who mentor. I mean, really out of the box, incredible thinking.
And
then
all focused also on technology, your
right,
core
all
issue. Yes.
technology. And we found that technology has really leapfrogged in developing countries, mainly because, the infrastructure wasn't there, and also the hunger is there. And things like mobile money or banking for the unbanked, access to money, healthcare, providing healthcare where, large pieces of machinery are not accessible. So sometimes, even detecting cervical cancer through using a camera phone, or doing research using the mobile microscope, finding pathogens in the water. And a fantastic innovation, which is to track the delivery of vaccine. And this is like 10 years ago. And these people were working on technology that we now called IoT, Internet of Things. Before it was IoT, we didn't even have a fancy name for it, but they had the technology. They're people of passion. There are people that are embedded in the community and know the people that they are trying to help.
Smirnoff's program transformed people's listening habits and gained some hard-won brand equity. Now we return to the US for a pragmatic view of some real appreciation for women on Mother's Day through an ingenious program from Kraft.
2017 was a landmark year for women. From the Women's March to the #MeToo movement, inequality was increasingly being exposed. Despite this progress, 10 out of 10 top streamed tracks on Spotify were from men artists. While people began waking up to gender disparity in music, clearly our listening habits don't reflect the change we want to see. This is the story of how Smirnoff, an activist brand in music, and Spotify, the world's largest music platform, came together to transform people's listening habits at scale by increasing the number of women artists they listen to. So ahead of International Women's Day, Smirnoff partnered with Spotify to launch the Smirnoff Equalizer. Users connected the Equalizer to their Spotify accounts to see just how equal or unequal their listening habits were between men and women artists. The Equalizer gave users the opportunity to try a more equalized playlist based on their listening habits. Users could use a slider to add in even more women artists and could share their new playlists via social. The Equalizer debuted at our New York City launch event, revealing the partnership between the Smirnoff Equalizer and Honey Dijon. From there, the campaign was launched in the US, UK, Ireland, Australia, Mexico, and Argentina. And as people started to share the results, the world started to notice, and a conversation was started. And even those that thought their listening habits were equal were sometimes shocked to find out the truth. Fans started calling out their favorite up-and-coming women artists. All of this led to more discovery, more exposure, and more opportunity for great women artists on the worldwide stage, all part of Smirnoff's broader goal of equalizing music and doubling the number of women headliners at festivals.
Smirnoff's program transformed people's listening habits and gained some hard-won brand equity. Now we return to the US for a pragmatic view of some real appreciation for women on Mother's Day through an ingenious program from Kraft.
Despite the appreciation moms receive on Mother's Day, too often they still get stuck with the cleanup, when all they really wish for is just a few minutes to themselves. A little peace and quiet with no meltdowns, no diaper changes, and no one pounding on the bathroom door. Seeing this, Kraft wanted to connect with moms on Mother's Day by offering them something very simple, a break. And so, Kraft's Mother's Day Away was born.
Mother's Day is great. But it isn't so great at giving moms what they actually need, which is the gift of not being needed. This Mother's Day, Kraft is giving moms just that. So go ahead, hire a babysitter, and Kraft will cover the bill.
For our final example today, we go to the Middle East and a wonderful program known as The Boy Who Changed Betty Crocker, who proves that not only women belong in the kitchen.
A new generation of women is making change in the Arab world. Despite the change, they are still stuck with the stereotype. Women belong in the kitchen. For almost a century, Betty Crocker has proudly supported every woman. But have we really? Introducing Sultan, the boy who changed Betty Crocker.
These Arabic instructions are essentially sexist.
His tweets sparked a conversation. And after looking at over 100 products in our market, we discovered Sultan was right. Cooking instructions only speak to women. Working with a linguistic expert, we found that the Arabic language can address both men and women. But brands follow the stereotype and only speak to women.
We changed the baking instructions in a way to address both.
The new progressive instructions addressed all cooks, regardless of gender. But we didn't just change a few packs. We replaced over 20 million of them, making each pack a recipe for change. We made Sultan the voice of our campaign. And our packs for change had an impact everywhere. In schools, on the news, online.
Definitely agree with that. They are the boys who bake.
And on talk shows.
The wording on 20 million units of packaging.
Opening eyes and minds and sparking real conversations about gender equality. Betty Crocker, like women all over the Middle East, had embraced change. One that had a greater purpose. To let people know that the kitchen is for everyone.
So we've now come full circle from men sharing the load through Ariel's efforts to a boy who changed Betty Crocker. Thank you for joining us. And we'll have a similar program to honor Earth Day on April 22nd, when we'll share case studies from around the world to highlight how brands have made a difference in a range of issues affecting the environment. The Internationalists created the concept of marketing makes a world of difference in 2012, before the word purpose became part of the marketing vernacular. Now this is one of marketing's most significant callings. Making a world of difference occurs through a deeper understanding of the complex dynamics of purposeful marketing strategy, and it demonstrates the importance of the marketing function within the corporation. Again, thanks for joining us.